Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session here at the Africa Wealth Conference. This is the third panel discussion, really talking about the diaspora. And this time we'll be really talking about how diaspora remittances can be used for wealth creation and Africa economic development. I do have here with me three speakers who will be speaking about this matter based on their experience. And I really can't wait to have them have this interesting conversation. So I'd like to go ahead and bring on stage Rachel Mwakazi Sharp. I do see here we have Dr. Lucy McKenzie and Mr. Evans Fongum. If you could just come in to the stage and we could then start this conversation. Hi.
Hi.
All right, so we're just waiting for Mr. Evans Fongum, okay. And right after the panel discussion, that is when Mr. Omasa will be joining us. But welcome on stage, and I believe that the participants can't wait to really hear about what you have to say about diaspora remittances. So again, my name is Wambui Gaitha. I am the founder and the CEO of the Regal Africa Group, where we help our clients create wealth. But I'm very passionate about diaspora engagement and how we can do that through trade and investment, because I believe that is the way Africa will prosper. And so each one of the people that are on stage here with me have had experience living outside the continent. And so when they speak about this subject matter, it's because they have experienced it and they will be giving us some nuggets so that we as the diaspora can pay attention to what needs to be done in regards to diaspora remittances. So so that I don't have to read your bio. Sometimes when we read a bio, it's very, very technical. I would really like each one of you to take the time, just a minute, to just tell us a little bit about who you are and what your experience has been with the diaspora before I go in and start this conversation. So I'll start with you, Rachel. Tell us a little bit more about Rachel Mwakazi Sharp. What is it about the diaspora? Why are you engaging, and why do you think it's very important, this conversation around diaspora remittances? Welcome, Rachel.
Well, thank you, Anne. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Hi.
Yes, sorry, I have a cold, so I'll be coughing in between. I'm sorry. Yes, so my name is Rachel Mwakazi Sharp, a mother, a wife, and from my profession, I have a passion in community development, and that is what I studied for my bachelor's. And so I coupled it with agriculture and rural economics, and then social innovation. And for my master's, I deepened it the same and expanded a little bit and explored migration. So I'm passionate about the diaspora because I find that they have really huge potential to participate in the transformation of Africa. We have had very huge steps, huge strides, and right now I'm in Kenya and I'm truly amazed every time I look and how the structures have been put so well that with just a little bit more of push, we are going to really be one of the best continents and the wealthiest at that. There's a lot of wealth in Africa that is still untapped. Of course, we have things which have hindered that the people can exploit the full potential of exploiting the wealth. That's why poverty is prevalent. We can't overlook that. And that's why we are all participating also in seeing how, as we trade, as we join together to create the wealth of Africa, that we eradicate poverty. I mean, that will be the byproduct of, after we've created wealth, then poverty will not be there. Yeah, poverty will not be there. So we are happy that this time we see there's a lot of embracing of the diaspora community, not really everywhere as it should be. I think governments should should put more effort in bringing on board the diaspora, not just because of the magnitude of remittances that they send, but because also of the knowledge we have gained outside, knowledge that we have gained abroad, because for many years it was brain drain. But right now, I think it's the time that these brains are drained back to Africa. Yeah, it's a brain gain. So I engage myself a lot in rural communities. I want to be at the forefront of seeing this transformation. I rejoice all the time that I see success stories of people who have been impacted through empowerment programs, and they have a real story of their lives, that they were in this place, but now they're in another place. That people who are dependent can now stand by themselves. And this diaspora, I feel, our remittances can be really useful in the sectors of agriculture, in the sectors of tourism, and in the sectors of manufacturing, because those are the areas that I've been very passionate about. Those are the areas which I have engaged directly here and seen very good potential, very good impact. And it's just a matter of bringing my fellow diasporans on board. Some who I have, I think there'll be mass migration of diasporas back to Kenya, especially. People keep telling me they're encouraged, and yes, and I know that some of the things will need a lot of policy making. Some of the things will need to be in politics, and that is why I dared to venture into politics in Kenya after 30 years of living in the diaspora. So I'll leave it there because I know we'll continuously progress. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rachel, for sharing a little bit of background. Like you said, business, politics, it all makes sense. All of it is connected. And you talked about transformation of Africa and how the diaspora can engage, because there's abundance of resources on the continent, and we can harness that so that we can all create wealth for all of us. So thank you very much, Rachel. I'll go over to you, Evans. So Evans, tell us a little bit about you. Why is the diaspora topic very important? Talk to us in the diaspora and why we should be engaged when it comes to creating wealth on the African continent and nation building.
Okay, thank you very much, Annie. I'm quite honored to participate in this conference. I have the feeling that this is one of the best conference that we should be having on the continent because of the content, because of what this conference is. The discussions are centered around the diaspora, which is a great opportunity for all of us, especially to those of us who've been in the diaspora and now back home. Okay. Like you rightly put it, my name is Evans Fortoh Fongum. I'm an entrepreneur and actually an agripreneur. I call myself an agripreneur and strategic business consultant. So we've been in Africa Consulting. What we specialize in doing, that was back then in 2015, was looking at how we can revamp the agricultural sector, because a lot of people in the agri sphere just do not think that if you want to get into agriculture, for example, you can actually design a plan and all of that. So when we look at, just like previous speakers with the different sessions that they have gone through, they look at, when you look at the diaspora, like the previous speaker actually said, having lived myself abroad, I've been living in the US and in China, I actually experienced some of this transformation firsthand, especially in China. So when I look at certain basic products that they can change life, and when I look back home, these are things that people do not even imagine about it. So, and then again, when I look at the diaspora, because when I'm talking about diaspora and I'm talking about agriculture, I'm actually just looking at sub-Saharan Africa, because if you go down South Africa, the stories are different. If you go up Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, the stories are different. So the real issue and The real issue is with the sub-Saharan Africa. Sorry for the use of that word, sub-Saharan. The real issue is when you look across East, Central, and West Africa. That's where the issues are. And this is where we have the bulk of diaspora. This is where most of them actually travel. So this whole topic about remittance diaspora is quite interesting to me, because I feel that a lot can be done. A lot can be done looking at the remittances that comes in. So I'm quite excited to discuss digitally on this and how we can get the diaspora on board. Thank you.
Great. And that's the conversation we'll be having, Evans. A lot can be done. You've been very specific about agriculture, and I'll come into that. So thank you very much for your introduction. Now, Dr. Lucy McKenzie, I know this is something you're very passionate about. You even have a talk show where you actually speak around diaspora matters, diaspora engagement. So before I go into the questions, Dr. Lucy McKenzie, could you tell us why is the diaspora very important when we're talking about, the growth of Africa and wealth creation, and specifically a topic that I really love, which is creating generational wealth? How is the diaspora engaged in that matter?
Thank you so much, Ms. Anne, and thank you for the invitation to participate with this awesome panelists with regards to diaspora and their remittances. My name is Dr. Lucy McKenzie. I am co-founder of the first Women-Only Diaspora Circle that has over 1,600 women and has amassed over 700 million, which equates to $7 million. So that is in 5 years, people contributing anywhere from 5,000 shillings, which is $50, to whatever amount that they are comfortable doing, and doing it collectively in something that people did not think was possible, especially when it comes to women and being united. So I am one of the co-founders. I am also director and co-founder of Dime Talk Shows, where we actually engage the diaspora by providing information. And that information that we're talking about is how they discover opportunities to invest in Kenya and Africa, as well as noting that many times us in the diaspora, we do not get all the information on the different avenues where we can invest. So the Dime Talk Shows has been an avenue where we have been able to engage the diaspora by bringing guest speakers from different sectors to open the eyes of the diaspora that land is not the only investment vehicle that the diaspora can get into. And majority of the times, diaspora gets sold land that is in the middle of nowhere. So they are rich in assets, but very poor in capital. I'm also director of Sauti Contact Center, which has been helping companies within the locals of Kenya, as well as international. We do a lot of US markets. So, and many other things. I also do business here in Kenya, in agriculture. And so I am so excited to hear what Evans has to say about agriculture. And the thing is, with diaspora, we have to come back. This is the time. And if Chinese and all these other people are coming here in plane loads, what is it they're seeing that we are not seeing? And it's so good to be on the same panel with my friend Rachel. Thank you, Ms. Anne.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lucy. I love the fact that you've talked about opening the eyes of the diaspora. That's why we're having this conference. That's why we're speaking about this matter, that there are things beyond what we know, the plots of land, that's not it. But Rachel is talking about rural development. Evans is talking about agribusiness. You're speaking about the same thing. In fact, I was saying the recurring theme has been agribusiness, real estate, which means productivity of land. I mean, it's very fascinating that everybody is speaking the same language. So it's time we actually go in and do the work. And I believe that's what the diaspora remittances are going to do. bring in the capital that is required for transformation on this continent. So I'll go ahead and ask you the question, Rachel. So Rachel, you know, as we're preparing for this discussion, there's something that you like to say, which is diaspora remittances can be used as a development catalyst for Africa, or it could be like a sleeping pill, which means then Africans on the continent are like, we're just getting free money from our relatives, and then they have a sit back, and then nothing good happens. Basically, it's all about consumption. So can you talk to us more around that? What do you see about diaspora remittances, and how can it be used for good, for transformation on this continent, so that we all create wealth, regardless of where we are as Africans in the world? Go ahead, Rachel. Oh, you're on mute. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah. As we know that the remittances are really in high volumes, around last year it was about 421 billion Kenyan shillings, and that is a lot of money. But when you look at how this money, you know, most of it is for consumption. Yeah, so meaning when we remit to our families, it just goes direct. Maybe that's the time that we buy green band meat, what, but also we can't, and it has also a bigger job. Apart from feeding the people, it's a lot goes to hospitals, a lot goes to all the things that have become unaffordable. Yeah, it goes to education, it goes to quite a number of things, but it does not really go into generating wealth for the families. It's money which comes in and it just goes to pay for services and maybe food. And that's why I say, you see, we diaspora have become like the social welfare that we know in abroad. We are treated as such, or our money is filling these gaps. You know, where there is a deficit, the work which governments should actually do, because people are paying taxes and everything. So every government that is really serious about serving its people, yeah, it should make sure that these social amenities are accessible to the people. I don't see why diaspora should be the ones paying the very expensive hospital bills. You have to, because in your loved one is unwell, you have no choice, you're going to pay this. But normally it's the work of government. That's why I always say that these remittances are sometimes becoming a sleeping pill, because governments are sleeping on their job, because they've not had the chance to experience people actually that this situation has reached a place where it is a catastrophe. Yeah, the people that just share that hunger is finishing off people, because there's nobody paying for them. You know, in Europe, or I think in Europe where I'm living, sometimes when somebody is jobless or what, they won't go hungry because the social welfare is there. But we don't have social welfare here. But diaspora has breached that gap, because their families are not going to starve, they're going to send money every weekend. So I always say that because I think it's high time we had this conversation, this healthy conversation on remittances, yeah, so that it can be put into more productive use. I mean, we have to start in our families, that it's not this dependency again on the remittances, but how are we going to manage to bridge it to become now maybe entrepreneurships, yeah, that are successful. Of course, I know that we have tried. Sometimes people have sent money for business, you know, for doing this, you do this, and at least you'll be dependent, but it's just another cycle. So that's why we are looking at businesses which diaspora can do that have a social impact. Most diasporas that I have spoken to are actually social entrepreneurs. Yes, they want to earn something, but in the first and foremost, they want to take care of their families. That's why they send the money in the first place. But they want the need of the families being self-reliant. So these remittances have become a development catalyst, because if it can be channeled to entrepreneurships, then still even governments will benefit, because if we can do businesses that that are more formal with our families, not these ones. You know, there are a lot of small businesses which can't be scaled up, which are not bankable, and especially the ones women are undertaking, or maybe the one for selling vegetables or what. But this is the way we have learned, because when we're in Europe, we see even in a country like Germany, where they have these Bauernhofs, where there is farmers who are there, but they have managed to package that agriculture around another activity. So you'll find the product is more, it has tourism, it's a farm which tourists still come. Why? Because they have experiences, you know, because they know they can go there, they can buy jam, which is made from products there, they can buy cheese, which are made from products there. They have events, they have festivals around the farm. So for me, rural areas fascinate me because there's so much. And I'm here because I know we can tap into that area. So I go back to what you asked me. Yes, diaspora remittances can be a sleeping pill or a development catalyst.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. And really, after hearing you speak, I'm really saying that diaspora needs to use their money to more productivity, to make sure there's development, acting as a development catalyst. Because what I find quite interesting, and I think I said it in a different session, if you look at Kenya, which is just one of 54 African countries, we actually receive about, you said, over 400 billion Kenya shillings a year from the diaspora, which is roughly around 1 billion every day. And 1 billion Kenya shillings is $10 million. $10 million in one day. And we cannot even pinpoint where this money is going. And there's something not working right. And this is one African country. So there is money, the diaspora has money, but how are we using it effectively is the question. So again, thank you, Rachel, for that, and saying we need to use that diaspora remittances for more productive use so that everybody wins. So then I go into Dr. Lucy, right? So for you, you've previously mentioned that the diaspora should invest collectively, not necessarily into, you know, to invest directly as we like to do in small things, but maybe we can invest in investment vehicles managed by professionals. So that way you can see things happening and the diaspora can trust who it is that they are investing through. So that is asset management. So what do you think that needs to be done so that the diaspora can use these remittances for wealth creation and economic development in a more structured way? Like I said, we have $10 million every day, but we have no idea what's going on. What do you think about that?
And for that question, the diaspora in Kenya, the remittances are around 400 million every year. So we have presence, we are present in the country, you know, we have felt that, you know, our money is here, but we don't have presence. And by that, we have, like you have mentioned, we do not have tangibles that we can showcase that this is what $400 million was able to do in a year. And so we have great opportunities, and I will talk about Kenya because I am in Kenya. With devolution, we have found there is opportunities in every single county. And so as diaspora, as opposed to just trying to go build, you, Anne, you are from the diaspora, Lucy, Rachel, Evans, you are from the diaspora. By the time you amass 100 million on your own, will take quite a while. Yeah. However, if we are a group of us who are like-minded and have seen the opportunities, and opportunities are what? Creating value. So when you come to a county in Kenya, ugali, which is a staple food, which is made of flour, so you need to grow a lot of maize. We can start factories and be able to grind this maize meal. because it is not only going to be food, but it is also going to create opportunity, a job opportunity for somebody. It's going to create, the farmer doesn't have to transport their maize across to another county. It can be within the same county. So collectively, we can do so much, as opposed to trying to do this one big thing by ourselves. And yet, remember, the longer it takes us to collect this 100 million to establish a factory, the value of money is changing. The rate of inflation is going up. So, but if we are doing it collectively, and all of us, you bring your 100,000, I bring mine, somebody else brings theirs, you will quickly be able to crowdfund for that project. You will be quick to be able to get the expertise, because we are coming from the diaspora. We have all these people at our disposal. We have met all these other companies that we have worked for, or are aware that they exist in the countries where we reside, and created partnerships. So as diaspora, we can become present, that when they talk about our remittances, they cannot just talk about it in a lackadaisical manner. They will talk about it because of the impact we are creating. And I remember the Central Bank of Kenya was trying to do a survey not too long ago to establish all this money that gets sent to Kenya. Where does it go? Are our families eating up $400 million every year? And if they are, then they should be the wealthiest families that are walking around in our countries, because us as diaspora, we are sending so much money. Yet the impact, poverty is still being felt. People are still being unable to buy the food that is just general food. So our presence needs to be felt by, when a politician is asked, what does the diaspora of your county do? They can easily point, that was put up by diaspora. That was put up by diaspora. And look at what impact they are creating in my community. Build hospitals. And I don't even think we need to build hospitals. We need to actually bring our expertise, buy the existing hospitals, and extend the services that we have wanted so much for our loved ones to have. And so that, to me, is what I'm talking about collectively, because we have a lot of knowledge out there that needs to be shipped back to Africa. And we help our people, but we also, in the process of helping our people, we shall be able to create generational wealth for our children in future, and for other generations that we did not even think about.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Lucy. That's really the essence of this conference, where we're saying we're empowering Africans from around the world to create and manage wealth sustainably. And really what I got from you is we are more powerful as a collective than as an individual, right? That has always been, I keep saying, the African way, the community, the family. It's always been that. I don't know what changed, but we have to go back. We are more powerful as a collective than as an individual. And now there's a challenge in where you're saying you want to know exactly what the diaspora is doing. In fact, that's what I want Mr. Evans to talk about. So Evans, you've been doing this project very specifically in the agribusiness space, large-scale poultry farming in Cameroon, where you're from, and you putting together these vehicles so that the diaspora can invest. So can you tell us more about the work that you're doing and how that leads to both wealth creation for the diaspora and economic development for Africans on the continent? Go ahead,
okay.
Evans.
Thank you again, Anna, for giving me the opportunity. Yeah, before I go to what we are doing, I would like to take us through some few matrices. Although most of the speakers have, they've talked about the amount that is coming in terms of, I want us to just look at 2019, for example. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have $48 billion annually. And in 2021, we had 45. This is a huge amount. This is just for sub-Saharan Africa. And okay, when I got back to Cameroon, I was quite interested in food production in agriculture. So the first experience that I had was I worked. There was this government project with a tone of $10 million. And what was this project designed for? It was just to promote food production. So I work on that project as a consultant, helping the young entrepreneur design business plan, explain, accompany them on how to set up enterprises. But there was something that was very remarkable to me in that, for that experience that I had. I realized that there were certain issues surrounding agriculture and here in Cameroon. So I discovered that it's the same problem in Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, and all of that. And what is that problem? The first of this problem is there is a stigma. You know, growing in rural Cameroon, going to school, there was this famous saying that if you can't do sciences, if you're not smart in school, you're going to use that head to carry cassava. So there is this stigma around agriculture that makes people to understand that if you have to engage in agriculture, it means that you were not good in many other things. And what does this do? It creates, a cycle of dumbing in the agribusiness sector. So, and again, another problem that arises within the agricultural sphere is the lack of, I don't know the situation in Kenya, in Ghana, but I'm pretty sure that it is the same situation. Here in Cameroon, we do not have an agri-bank. There's no bank specialized for funding agriculture. And then, as a diaspora, as someone who's lived abroad and interact with fellow Cameroonians and other Africans, I also identify another problem that we have. I totally agree with Dr. Lucy talking about us coming together and creating a fund that can be able to drive transformation, not just in the agri sector, but in other sectors. So there is the third issue that we have is, individuality. We have built on our individuality to the extent that we have completely forgotten about our collective efforts and what that can do. So with all of this problem, and the thing that was quite striking to me and got me into agriculture is when I visit a supermarket, for example, here in Cameroon, I realized that more than 90% of the shelves product are imported product. And when I turned around, and the most shocking part of it was, I went to a famous supermarket here, and I realized that, and I saw potatoes chips. You understand? So there is a lot of it that is produced, for example, in my village where I come from, but then nobody's ever thought about the fact that we can process these, we can frozen these, and export to other countries or even to ourselves. So when I look at another issue that I realized around agriculture and which got me into it was I realized that almost everybody across the sub-Saharan Africa is playing it small. And in agriculture, nobody, like in other fields of business, nobody's ever created world playing small. Now, and I was trying to understand why do people not get into, industrial agriculture? So those were the issues that got me into. So, and then the particular thing that got me interested in industrial poultry was that I realized that the same problem, more than 90% of the day-old chicks, for instance, that we have in Cameroon are all imported from Europe. And you can imagine somebody importing frozen chicken from Brazil, for example. It takes 3 months to get here. So we're virtually eating something that is were like more than 4 months or something. So all of these issues, and then when I look at the figures for, when I look at the amount of money, like Lucy rightly said, that we're receiving this much money. But when I try to, analyze these remittances, and I realize that more than 75% of the remittances that we receive year in, year out, I'm talking in the case of Cameroon, for example, goes for non-world creative activity, right? So, yes. So where does it go to? To sibling, maybe pay hospital bills or education, or just helping one family member to the other. So none of this world is actually, intended for world creation. So what happened? We continue to be poor. You understand? So, and again, when I look at Africa, for instance, because we were made to understand that you cannot create wealth from agriculture in the first place. And that's why we don't have the agro-industrial, farmers in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, for example. And when you look at it, you discover that this is something that is intentional, you understand? But the problem that the question I ask myself is, why is it that the diaspora, that we have had the opportunity to live abroad, we've lived in the US, in China, we've seen how amazing food processing is done, almost everything. You can have anything, because back in Cameroon, most people just kind of think that if we want to talk about agriculture, we're talking about coffee production, we're talking about cocoa production, maybe bananas and all of that. People don't look at agriculture in terms of maybe the production of vegetables just in large scale. So those were some of the issues and the challenges that got me in this thing. And then when I look at Africa, for example, we have 1.5 billion people live on the African continent today. And forecast is showing that by 2050, we'll have more than 2.5 billion people living on the African continent. And we are not producing food. So to me, the issue of agriculture goes beyond just world creation. It's about life. It's about security. There's no guarantee. That, for instance, I was amazed.
But Evans, right. People are moved by money, right? So there has to be an incentive to get us in, right? So the reason, and I'll give a story around this, but the reason people don't get into agriculture is that stigma, which is we were told to move out from the rural areas, as Rachel is trying to avoid people doing by developing them. People were told move out from the rural areas, go into the urban areas because that's where the opportunity is, right? And then there's no right kind of funding, right? So you go to the bank, you borrow money if you're lucky to get to use your land as collateral, and they want the money the next month, right? I'm a banker, so that's, you want your money right away. And agriculture doesn't work that way. And then, like you said, everyone is playing small. There is a case for smallholder farmers, but working in collective. But if you want to do great things, we need to do it commercially. Right. But I did want to say, and I think even when you were telling me about this agriculture, I told you, I'm a banker by profession. So the only thing I knew about agriculture was commodity trading until I went to China and I got into a project of agriculture, and I'm all about money, right? And wealth and supporting people to create generation wealth. And that's when the light bulb hit me and I said, there is money in agribusiness. But growing up, I didn't grow up in the rural areas, right? So that is the message that we have to give to the diaspora so that they know better, they have the capital. How do you put that money into agribusiness, in commercial agribusiness? And how do we make sure that whatever is produced, the uptake is being traded? So that's how the diaspora comes in. So thank you very much, Evans. Because of time, I really wanted to go to the next question for you. Maybe I can go to Dr. Lucy. I know you just spoke, but tell us, Sorry, Evans, you're going to go say something?
No, I was saying it's okay. You could. I was actually looking to evaluate, to evolve into the poultry business, which I'm talking about, and
Okay.
how diaspora could come in. So let me just quick take 1 minute to
Sure.
So when I look at all of these challenges that we were having, and then without an agri bank, and then I look at what the diaspora are bringing in, and then I began to ask myself, why is it that diaspora could not invest? I realized that most of the agribusinesses that we have are not well structured. So you can't scale something that is not well structured. So we decided now when I and a couple of friends who live in the diaspora, and then we decided to look at how we can design, we can make the story different, how we can, set up a business plan, on raw poultry, create something that a diaspora can read and see a plan in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So they know, okay, if I am investing this amount into this business, this is what these are my expectations. This is what they intend to do. This is where they want. So that is exactly what we are doing at Afri Raw Poultry. So we have created a system, because the complex, we're actually, covering the entire value chain in the poultry sector, but we're doing it in unit by unit, but at industrial scale, which permit every diaspora who's interested in agribusiness, particularly poultry. You can say, okay, I'm interested in the production of eggs, for example, table eggs. Some other person, I'm interested in the production of day-old chicks, or I'm interested in chicken meat processing. So that's exactly what we have created, and that we are presenting to the diaspora and saying, this is something that is structured. This is, you could come in, you know the vision, you know where we plan to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So we are trying to clear the doubt. People, when it comes to investment, people are really very skeptical when they feel, or when they sense that you don't have an idea, you don't know what you're trying to do, and you are requesting for a lot of money. So that's what we're trying to do at Afri Raw Poultry.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I wish more diasporans. Is it only for Cameroonian diaspora or all Africans in the diaspora to reach out to you?
Everyone.
Everyone.
But I give
Perfect. Yeah.
It's just actually, I give preference to the Cameroonian diaspora because they bring money that will stay in Africa. Yeah. But if you have people who are coming from Africa, they will bring the money, they will take part of it out of the African continent. But, as a business person, we are open to it. Every investor who's interested in coming into the business is open to everybody. Thank you.
Great to know that. All right. So as I was saying, I wanted to have this question for Dr. Lucy. It actually came from some people from the audience, a lady called Chichi. So, and I think it's a segue from what Evans is talking about, which is, what resources can you recommend the diaspora what resources can you recommend for diaspora to begin to understand a smart approach to market research? So how do they do market research? And the best places or products to invest? How do they understand return on investment, profit margin, local economies, so that it's a win-win situation for all? Because pretty much the people on the continent are saying, look, we know how to do things, we understand the market, but you have the money, right? So how would you recommend the diaspora to do that market research, understand what needs to be done so that it's a win-win situation for all Africans around the world? What's your take on that?
Okay, thank you so much, Chichi, for that question. And here is where our professionals come in. You engage and talk what it is you want to invest in, okay? And then you have a very open discussion with your professional person who will go out there and do the research for you. So if it's a business you're planning to buy, they will ask for all the returns that they need to ask, things that we would probably overlook. They will ask for, how the business has been running for X number of years, and really forensically look at the data before they actually make the recommendation. Don't just don't just be called by somebody. They tell you, hey, my uncle is selling a business and it was doing this, it was doing well, and then you pump in your money into that purchase, because A, you need to know why they're selling. Are they getting out of that business? B, was it really a profitable business, or is the turnover not that good? Is the location for that particular business not ideal anymore? I mean, these are questions that your professional person would be able to do ahead of you investing. And they can give you also the projected returns on that money that you end up investing. If you look at Nairobi right now, there's a lot of high-end hotels that have closed. Are those a good investment for us in the diaspora? Probably not, unless we actually look at what there is in terms of the returns and what else that facility could be utilized for. It may not be ideal for a hotel, but it could be ideal for another business. So those are things that you can only get the best output and the best way to invest your money by engaging somebody who is actually on the ground and somebody who is specialized in that area. The problem with us in the diaspora, sometimes we are very trusting. We are quick to make decisions without really doing our research, without doing due diligence. And some of this due diligence is what ends up coming to bite us in the back. So I cannot overemphasize the importance of having a professional person in the team, and also engaging lawyers, and not just, not word of mouth. We may be friends for a minute, and then somewhere along the line, we become enemies. But if you've got everything in writing, you will be safe. So I think that is what I would say in terms of how you engage people to help you with your research.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lucy. I totally agree. For us who at Regal Africa, we are an advisory firm. What I've noticed with the diaspora is they are trusting with their family. And when they get burnt, instead of taking your advice of saying work with professionals like ourselves, they want to come and work with us professionals, but they don't want to pay. I don't know if Evans, because he's a consultant, we've lived abroad, we have to pay for the right advice. I keep saying cheap is expensive. So my advice to the diaspora, if you are going to get good advice, you will have to pay for it, right? And so you want to actually engage people who know what it is, have a track record, so that you're making the best decisions. I kid you not, because I'm an advisor, people go in, whether it's in the real estate or agribusiness, and they do it in the wrong places. And what they could have paid a consultant would have actually avoided that bad mistake. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, Dr. Lucy. So thank you for that. Now, before we go into our next speaker, and before we get our last remarks, Rachel, there's something that you have done. You said after 30 years of living abroad, you came back to Kenya, which is great. But one of the stories you did, because I really want to make this very practical, because it's all about wealth, it has to be tangible. Share with us your experience of actually working with rural women in Taita Taveta, how you use technology and your money to actually support these women, transform this community, make money for yourself, make money for these women. I mean, take it to practical so that the diaspora who are listening can know that it can be done. You have done it. You've used technology. So no excuses. It's something that can be done. So could you please share your story. If you can just do it in 2-3 minutes, that would be great.
I want to talk about Regal Gardens,
Yes.
which is more of a hospitality project that is in the ecotourism. And as I said, I am passionate about rural communities and empowering people, but at the same time, you have to make the money. Yeah.
Rachel, sorry, Rachel, we can't really hear you. I don't know if it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on. I've got my microphone.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? I'll try again. Is it only you or everyone can't hear me?
It's like there's an echo.
Is it better now?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
much better. Okay, sorry, I want to give the example of Builder. That's one of the projects that I've done in Kenya, being passionate about rural communities and empowerment. But at the same time, we are talking about sustainability. So it's about doing wherever we do empowerment projects, it's those which are the ones which take a life of their own and that they can be self-sustaining, not things which I have to go back and raise funds and come back and do them. So I partnered with my parents with their piece of land in the ranch, but because we have this climate change issue and prolonged droughts. So it meant that land, fertile as it is, without water, you can't really do much in the area of agriculture. But I look at land differently. I look at the aesthetic beauty. I saw that land was, facing Mount Kilimanjaro, the sunset, bright night skies, and having it in Europe, and all these things can be packaged into tourism packages because it's about experiential tourism, which touches on the culture, the food, the heritage. So it was upon me to package it well, to see that I hit quite some birds with one stone, because always you never have excess finances to do things. So I partnered with them, took this piece of land that was laying idle for long in a ranch, and just built these cottages. But I had to define the product. Like I said, we are very strategically located in Taita Taveta. We are next to the biggest national park, which is Savo East, Savo West. And but at the same time, I saw that in Kenya, the tourism product was just concentrating a lot on the safari product and on the beaches. And yet here I was in Europe, where wherever we are traveling, it's about experiences. You see how attractive the packages are. And it's just everyday things on the land. And that's the kind of thing I wanted to do here, to combine. And during Corona, I started building those cottages. And during Corona, technology helped me a lot. Because as you know, in Kenya, we have a fantastic thing which really belongs to us, and that is M-Pesa. And I love it because you can pay your bills. I saw you just need to organize yourself, because before you had to send the money, if it is to a contractor and they run away and don't pay the rest. So you're the one who is being blamed. But now with M-Pesa, you pay all the bills. So I was paying like at the comfort of my home in Norway. And because of the WhatsApp, again, another fantastic thing, I was paying for work which is actually done. So all the people needed to do is to do the work, send the pictures, and not those ones of long term where you're being told, this is the land we have purchased for you, and what. Mine was a partnership. The land was already there, it belonged to my parents. So it was about developing it. So we put up this thing, but I advise you're not going to, we are not competing with all the hotels or what, but we're going to ecotourism because it's going to help my parents and it's going to help the larger community. Because whenever we have tourists there, we buy chicken from the neighbors, we buy food from the neighbors, and it gives them also an opportunity to earn, because like we said, we can't do commercial agriculture. The funds are missing. Like Dr. Lucy, my friend, said, we need to pull together in order to be able to do these bigger ones. So what was in my hands was the small bit I could do, but with a big vision for the community. And after we completed the cottages, I saw, all right, now the next thing is getting which other assets. For me, I saw the stars were an asset because I could really market my product to the stargazers. They told them, yeah, we have pitch darkness, beautiful night skies. You can see all the stars you ever wanted to see. Of course, we know living in Europe, America, this is not an everyday privilege. Yeah, there's a lot of lighting, so some people have never seen the stars like we see them. And also the view of the Kilimanjaro, the view of the Taita Hills. So we built it strategically that people can really enjoy that. And again, it was about the choice of the materials we were using. You know, we found these bricks which are interlocking, which are made with the local mud but mixed with cement. Again, that was for me important because it gave also jobs, it created jobs in the local communities. And sometimes I used to be amazed. I would see 20 people working there, and I'd be happy. At the end of the day, there's nobody going hungry. And this is an area where really the environment, everything, a lot has been depleted because when there is no rain, when the land is there and people can't cultivate it, what did they do? They went for the trees, indigenous trees, everything, and burnt it to charcoal. It was the biggest activity. So we had to, I wanted to take care of that. That's why I said, you know, a lot of killing, not only 2 birds with 1 stone, but many birds in 1 stone. So for this product, again, it was something that I didn't want it to stress my parents. Yeah. But when they run it, so we have Airbnb. Yeah. Nowadays, you put your product, you put it clearly on Airbnb, you explain to people, and here being a tourist area, you know, talk to the people there, sell them your product. I've lived in abroad, I saw my niche, yeah, in the expatriates who are in Nairobi, who want to travel sometimes to the beaches, but they also want to experience a new culture, which is Taita, in Taita Taveta, and to enjoy all that. I also knew that one of the things missing is that the lodges here, they're not really suitable for you to carry your pets. So all the people who travel from Nairobi with their pets, they ended up enjoying that. Mine is more of what I said earlier, almost a barren home, where there are a lot of activities in a farm, but where you can come with your children, all ages, you can come with your dogs, you can come with whatever, and you will feel at home. You will feel that hospitality, the true Kenyan hospitality. Yeah, and at night you will sit and enjoy this. So to add on that, I started looking at the indigenous foods in the region, like superfoods, like bulgur. And I started training women via Zoom. Remember, I'm in the rural area, and these are women who they are used to this one. It's called Mwakazi here. Yeah, they don't have touch phones or what, but there's always a learning. And they were fascinated. I got people who got a graduate who had just finished school and later use my office in Wambui to download the lessons and teach the people already the first step into how they can just open the laptop to read something. And we translated all the information to Gaitha and Kiswahili. And I taught these women value addition to produce this baobab flour that is a superfood that is known in Europe, in America, and from the seeds to produce the oil, which again is good for the cosmetic industry. And right now, we're in the middle of doing another course where now we have more products that we can add value. And all this I did without being on the ground in Kenya, just by the use of technology and just
Wow.
So that's Regal for you. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you so much, Rachel. Basically, what I have heard from this conversation and the diaspora need to take out is this great opportunity on the continent. You can start small, have a big vision. The beauty about living outside the continent is you're able to see opportunities that probably us on the continent are not seeing. So that's the beauty of the diaspora. So if you look at it that way, you can be able to bring in your resources, whether it's financial, whether it is an idea, whether it's your network, and that way you'll be part of the wealth creation journey, wealth creation aspect for the community and be part of Africa economic development. So thank you very much. There's so much to unpack in this topic, right? And really what it is that I think we need to have another conversation some other time and really, really unpack it. But for now, because of time, I really like to keep time, and we were supposed to end the conference at 6 o'clock, but this is a great discussion, and we have an amazing person who will be coming in with the Deputy Consular at the Los Angeles Consulate. But before he comes, I really want to ask you to just take 1 minute, just give us your last remarks around this particular topic in regards to diaspora remittances. What do you want the diaspora to know? How can the diaspora engage in Africa to create, to use their diaspora remittances, to use them for wealth creation? What are your last remarks? And I'll go ahead and start with you, Ivan. 1 minute, please, and then we will have a conversation the next time. Thank you.
Very much. As far as the diasporas are concerned, I think if I want to make it, one statement is for the diaspora to be able to create a fund pool. And this could be country by country. We can have country by country fund, diaspora fund for investment. We can have that. And then we can also have a global fund, diaspora, African diaspora fund, in which case the different country diaspora fund could invest in the global African diaspora fund. So that should be my take, because it will make it pretty easier for you, like the hello?
Sorry, go ahead. It looks like there's some background noise. Go ahead.
Was saying it would prevent the diaspora from, investing, from taking hasty decision into investing into something which they do not really know. But if we have a fund and a fund manager that can study that, I think it could be very productive. Thank you.
Thank you, Evans. What about you, Dr. Lucy? What are your last remarks around this conversation around diaspora remittances?
Thank you so much, Anne, for this opportunity again to be on this conference with these panelists. My last words would be that let's do our due diligence. Engage our professionals and utilize them to give us the information we need before we do our investments. Make sure we file our taxes, even when we're in the diaspora, because if you do eventually want to come and settle here, or you want to do things in future, you don't want to have any tax burden that is just hanging around you. The other thing is for us to seize the opportunities when they come our way. Let us not be so learned that we kill everything with our thoughts and our imagination. And then we need to have our African pride. Let us market Africa when we are out there. Let people know that Africa is a beautiful place, and with beautiful products. Let's wear, if it's the clothing, let us wear it with pride and show off our garments, which are beautiful, especially, we have West African clothes that have so much style. So let's wear our products in style, and let's also take time to really engage, especially in Kenya now that the counties are open. Look for opportunities everywhere, look for the gaps, and let us provide a solution, because we can. Thank you again, Anne, for having me on this panel, and it's been an honor being with you, Evans and Ms. Rachel, discussing how our remittances can create wealth in Africa.
Right, thank you, Dr. Lucy. What about you, Rachel Mwakazi Sharp? Give us your last remarks about this topic.
So much, Anne. Thank you, Dr. Lucy and Evans. It was really great. I've learned a lot once again, and I'd just like to say that it's good to explore opportunities and to embrace even people who are not from your community, because there is home blindness. Sometimes you don't see the opportunity where you are that an outsider would see. So this is more also for, like people in Kenya. Sometimes there can be some sort of hostility to diaspora, but we are all Kenyans. Let's embrace each other. Let's walk this walk together, even as Africans. Let's explore beyond even our countries to other countries. I hope Mr. Evans will be able to come and explore there. And I'd like to say, where I am here, Taita Taveta is a great place. It's one of the wealthiest counties in Kenya. We have opportunities in the ranching sector. There's a high demand for beef, and this is the best place you can fatten your cattle. Yeah, it is still unadopted. My check was that we have almost 28 million livestock. Yeah, the demand is huge. So let's not overthink. Business sometimes is a risk. Do your diligence, but also people should not hold back so much. And for the people who have financial products from the diaspora, they're doing a good thing. They need to look at the interest rates when people are borrowing, because one of the things, when you're here in Kenya, somebody asked me why diaspora, they're not really like borrowing even where they have put money. Yeah, but it's because of the interest rates. And I told them, why did I borrow here for 8 to I think 12%? I don't even know the interest rates. While I was shocked in the micro ones, they even charge 30%. And yet when I'm in the diaspora, I can borrow at 1%. So let's think about how we can work together and see how we create products for both Kenya, Africa, and the diaspora. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Rachel, for those words. Thank you, Evans, again, for sharing us of the opportunity that you're doing in Cameroon, and also Dr. Lucy for all the work that you've done for the diaspora as you continue to champion this discussion around diaspora engagement. So thank you very much, and we look forward to engaging with you in the future.